explaining it, but for me that was pretty accurate and true to me, that like the reason why I have why I have difficulty socializing is because it's like I reach into my brain and I just don't have the tools. It's like people who are not autistic can reach into their brain immediately and like boop, I know how to act in this interaction and in this social setting. I have the tools, I use them, and I just do it. And that's just how their brain works. My brain, literally, I'll be like, I don't know how to act in this social situation. Like trying to have a Jimmy Neutron brain blast and like pull out the tools and like navigate the situation in my brain. Like it's like someone opening up a toolkit in my brain and being like, there's nothing in here. Like fuck, like there's literally not shit in here. Like what are we gonna do? And that's kind of what it's just always been like. It's not like weird for me, or I mean, I guess it's weird, but I don't know. It's like I know I'm autistic, but there's nothing I can do about it, and I don't want to change the fact that I'm autistic. I don't see it as a bad thing, but like it's just, I don't know, it's like weird to like be in a situation and be like, I know that I'm not responding to this appropriately, or I don't know how to respond to this because I'm autistic, and then just being like, and that's tea, and then just not being able to move forward. Like I know that I should know what to do here, but I don't because I'm autistic. And then just sitting there as a full-grown adult, like, I really don't know what to do right now or say or how to get through this. So yeah, it's weird. But yeah, that's why I have difficulty socializing and why I didn't know how to talk. And that's what I mean when I say I didn't know how to talk. Okay, so this might sound weird, but I didn't know that you're supposed to look at people when you talk to them until I was, I think, 18. And I know it sounds like weird and like, yeah, you did. I'm sure you did. But I'm being genuine. I didn't know. I didn't realize that that was an important part of socializing with people. And it's not to say that every autistic person doesn't. Like, I'm certain there are autistic people who are like, duh, like, or, you know, like everybody's different. Like, that's kind of the point. That's why they use the language like spectrum and stuff like that. But I just did not realize that that was important. I didn't notice that everybody was doing it. And I didn't notice that it was normal or a thing that everybody does because you're supposed to, and like that it means something to look at someone and it means something to not look at someone when you're talking. So a lot of people just attributed it to be me being shy when I was growing up, and even when I was in high school they're just like, oh, like they're not looking at me because they're shy. Like another thing that I had issues with as far as being autistic, oh yeah, hearing and seeing. Okay, so a lot of people think that like autism and Asperger's, they're like, oh, it's just when people have social awkwardness and don't know how to communicate and they just don't have the mental components to socialize, as in just like talking. They just don't know what to say. They don't know how to act. They're just socially awkward, and it's just because they're socially awkward, socially talking, blah, blah, blah. And it's like people don't realize what goes into socializing. So a huge part of socializing is being able to process what you see. And a lot of people don't realize that who are not autistic, and that's why they sort of don't understand autism, I think. A lot of people who are autistic have visual processing difficulties and facial recognition difficulties, or the inability to recognize faces in some cases. In my case, I had a really hard time recognizing faces throughout my whole life. I still do. And for other autistic people, it's nothing. It like isn't a thing, I guess, for them. I don't know. I can't imagine. But yeah, for me, I don't recognize faces well, and a lot of autistic people don't. And that affects socializing, which a lot of people who are not autistic don't realize. When you're talking to someone, it's important to know who you're talking to. And that sounds like, yeah, no shit. Like, if someone who you work with comes up to you and you know it's Bill, you say, hey, what's up, Bill? Or hi, Bill. Or you remember, oh, this is Bill. Bill has these ideas and thoughts, and this is who Bill is. If you can't recognize who you're speaking to or who's speaking to you, or who you see in the hallway that waves at you, that affects how you socialize with them. So that's like a huge component of autism. And my socializing that I had difficulty with, because I couldn't recognize people's faces very well, I didn't speak as often, because someone would like be like, hey, what's up? And I just like would pretend I didn't see them, or I might not have heard them, but we'll talk about that later. But I would pretend I wouldn't see them because I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, who are you waving to me? Are you waving to someone next to me? Like, I don't know why you're waving at me because I can't recognize you. So that was a huge component. Sorry, I have to get a fan. It's like really hot. But that was like a huge component of why I didn't talk as much. We'll do this. I didn't talk as much before, and why I didn't communicate as often. and it affected my socializing, and it's why I couldn't speak effectively, or like socialize, I should say, effectively, until I was around like 21-ish, okay? Another component of autism that a lot of people who are not autistic don't realize exist is audio processing disorder and audio processing difficulties, and just not being able to hear shit. Like, people don't know that autistic people can't hear shit sometimes, and that affects socializing. Like I said, a lot of people think autism is just like hella people being like awkward as hell and like bumping into things and like stammering and saying rude things and not realizing that they're rude and just moving on with their lives. But a huge component of autism is audio processing disorder and difficulty hearing and processing what you hear. And that means, since a lot of people don't know, I'm not trying to say this to be condescending either, like, I know everything about autism. Like, you don't know, and I know, and I'm smart. I'm just saying, I didn't realize at some point that these things were related to autism until I did, and now I do. Cool. So what audio processing disorder can be and how it relates to autism is, when you're talking to someone, it's important to be able to hear what they're saying, and it's also important to know who's saying it and where the sound is coming from. So keep in mind that this is all happening for me as an autistic person with the visual processing difficulties, facial recognition, lack of facial recognition, and I have audio processing disorder. Someone comes up to me, or someone's like far away from me, and they say my name, hey Ryan. I look around because I'm like, where did that sound come from? They're over there, and I'm like, literally, that happens to me so often that someone will be like right here, and I'll be like, huh? That they say, hey Ryan, and my brain hears it after. Obviously I hear it after they say it, but like I process what I've heard way later than it's been said, so that I can't process where the sound came from. So I'm looking around like, where did the sound come from? I'm looking and I can't see or differentiate between the background and the foreground of what I'm seeing, and then I can't recognize the face of this person who's over here, so I'm just like, I don't know why they would have said my name. I don't know. How should I know? You know what I mean? Do you see how awkward that makes things? That someone's like, hello, I just said your name, I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm over here like hearing it late as fuck, can't see, can't recognize shit, just like, boy, what did you just say? Where is it coming from? I have no idea what's going on. It's like a loud beeping noise. It's like, and then like silencing itself over that person talking, because my brain is working so hard to understand what's going on. So now they're already like 10 words into the sentence they're saying, and my brain is processing what they're saying slowly and jumbled, and I don't understand what they're saying, and I'm thinking too hard about what's going on, and I can't process what I'm hearing effectively because I couldn't hear where it was coming from, and my hearing is going in and out because my brain's working so hard. So that's part of audio processing disorder that I have in some situations with my autism, with social interaction, and that's what made it really difficult to converse as well. Sometimes people will just try to talk to me and I just wouldn't talk back to them because I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. This is overwhelming for me emotionally and socially in this situation. I cannot function. So I would just shut off. I would shut down. We're not speaking. I can't. And then people think that you're rude. And that's another component of autism that people do tend to know about, is that a lot of people find that some autistic people can seem rude, and they know that they don't mean to be, but they know that it's because they're having difficulty socializing, and that was the issue I always had. It doesn't mean that every single time I talk to someone, I have no idea who they are, I can't recognize their face, and I can't see them, and I can't hear them. It doesn't mean that that's what happens every time, but it does make it difficult, especially in new social situations, to get to know people and talk to people in general. I could talk a lot about audio processing disorder because it's actually how I found out that I was autistic, but I feel like you kind of get the point. I don't know where the hell shit's coming from. Someone's talking to me, I'm just like, what? Like, huh? I can't hear anything. Like, if you want to know how I found out I was autistic, it's because I kept failing the hearing test at school. They would put headphones on you, and I'd be like, raise your hand when you hear a sound, and I like didn't hear shit, boy. I like didn't hear anything, and then I heard the beep, and I was like, is that the beep, or is the beep, the like loud beeping noise in my head, the beep? So I would just raise my hand, and they were like, you do not hear shit. Like, stop pretending to raise your hand when you can't hear it. Like, stop. They could tell I was faking, like, if that makes sense. Like, they were playing the beep noise and I wasn't raising my hand, and then when the beep would end, I would raise my hand, like, did they play it? And they were like, are you deaf? Like, what the hell? Like, you didn't just hear us play the beep? And I didn't hear them play the beep because I couldn't, I don't know. it's not that I'm deaf or hard of hearing as much as I have difficulty processing what I hear. So they were like, you're failing the test, you're deaf. But then they would talk to me and they'd be like, I'm talking to you right now and you can hear what I'm saying. Like, you're not deaf. And I was like, I didn't say I was fucking deaf. Like, I don't think I'm deaf. I just can't hear. And because it's like such a high pitch, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's easy to fail the hearing test and not be hard of hearing and actually be autistic. And that's how I found out. It was the audio processing disorder. I was like, phew, this explains so much. So yeah, those are just some of like the weird parts of autism that make it difficult to socialize, on top of not having just the social skills of just knowing what to say when. I didn't know until I would say maybe 21 and a half. No, not 21 and a half. Oh my God, no. What? Like 21 and a quarter. I didn't know until I was like 21 what to say when someone says, hey, how are you? And I don't mean that to like, I don't know, I feel like weird justifying that I'm saying these things, but I feel like people don't believe it because they don't know that this is what it's like for some people to be autistic. They're like, not all autistic people are like this. There are some autistic people watching this like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But I like just didn't know. When someone says, hey, how are you? You could say like, good, how are you? Or like, I'm good. Like, I didn't realize you're supposed to say it back, like, how are you, back to them. I didn't realize you're supposed to say like, thanks, or like say something nice. I didn't understand the point of someone saying that to me. I was always just like, stop asking me that. And I'd get like really mad, or I just like sometimes wouldn't answer, which is like so unreasonable. But a lot of times growing up in high school and in elementary school, middle school, people would be like, hey, how are you? And I just wouldn't say anything. So it's just like, I have no idea how to respond to that. I don't even know what that means. I don't know, how am I? Or I don't know. There's like another greeting that people always say that I was just like, how are you supposed to respond to that? Or I'd be like, I'm good. Like, I don't know still now sometimes how to like do anything other than scripts and imitating, and we'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, so I know how to say, hey, how are you? Or how are you? I usually don't say how are you to people though, because I don't know when do you say it? Like, what if someone says something I'm not prepared to respond to? And even people who are not autistic go through that. But like I said, I don't know how to say something. If I say, hey, how are you? And someone says good, and then something I don't have a script for, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna get social punishment. I don't know how to respond to this. I hate when people frown at me. I think it's bad when they frown when I try to say things to them. So yeah.